Hello, Norm. How you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm
Happy New
good.
Year.
Happy New Year. Yes. Oh my, I cannot. Yesterday I was writing something. I was like, oh, 2024. I'm like, oh my God, we are actually in 2024.
I
And that's
I
exciting.
remember when we had the big scare back in the 2000. Now it's 2024. I can't believe it.
Yeah, we were, the last few weeks, we were never both of us together in the podcast or Q&A. We were doing turns with being sick.
Yeah,
It's nice to be here today with you.
and you too.
Yes. So today is really interesting. So first of all, welcome to the Ecom Power. This is the Walmart Marketplace podcast, and today we're going to be discussing a generative AI, the AI generated content revolution. Today we're going to find out what is generative AI, how sellers are implementing that right now, and how will AI change the e-commerce industry going forward. So again, welcome to the Ecom Power podcast. Let's take a quick note from our sponsors.
Are you struggling with your Walmart marketplace business? Do you need help from a skilled and reliable virtual assistant? Well, look no further than Virtual Assistant Academy or VAA Philippines. VAA specializes in locating, screening, training, and supporting high quality Walmart VAs in the Philippines. Their VAs receive extensive Walmart training and ongoing professional development and are committed to long term working relationships with you. Partner with VAA and experience the peace of mind knowing that you have a dedicated Walmart trained VA who's up to date with the latest tools and trends in the dynamic Walmart marketplace. Head over to VAAphilippines.com and let VAA match you with your ideal VA today. Okay, so today we're going to be as Michal was talking about generative AI and this new AI revolution that started, I believe, last January. I know that's when I got into it, and AI's been around for years, but everybody kind of jumped on the bandwagon with ChatGPT, and I've been able to talk to this guest a few times, and it's just incredible what he's doing. So our guest is the founder and CEO of Ecomtent, which you've heard of on this podcast and on Lunch with Norm. And he helps enable sellers to create product listings with generative AI. Max has spent over 6 years working at Amazon with his role. He was included in the launch of the B2B department, Amazon Business, in the UK, and owning customer browse and catalog quality for the launch of Amazon in Singapore. And I'm talking about Max Sinclair. So, without further ado, let's welcome Max.
Hi
There's,
guys,
there's the man.
Hey,
good to
Max.
see you. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you. So must have been just a crazy year for you since last January.
Yeah, it's been a crazy, I'd say, like few years. Like I really came, 2 years. I really came into contact with all this AI, like Gen AI stuff, last September, which ultimately led to me quitting my job at Amazon, as you mentioned. And we have been, it's exploded in ways that I couldn't have imagined, and we've been enjoying enjoying the ride really. So yeah.
Oh, very good. So, Michal, why don't you start
Yes,
off all these questions?
we do have a lot of questions. So let's start with the basic. What is generative AI?
Sure. So as Norm kind of outlined in the intro, we've had AI around since the 1950s, and really now what we started to see in 2022, as Norm said, with the launch of ChatGPT, is a new type of model which is called generative AI, and these models are essentially very large prediction machines. So you train these models are either trained in all of the images or text or whatever it is on the internet, and they can you give it a prompt, it distills that prompt into tokens or basically numbers, and then will generate content based on its training and its and the prompt you give it. So fundamentally, we've got these extremely large prediction machines which get better and better the more refined that the prompt you give. But also, I think what is interesting is as you start to train these extremely large prediction machines, they're compressing so much data from from all the text or thousands and millions of images that actually they start to get a pretty they start to get a pretty good understanding of the world. So they're not intelligent, but they do have a working model of human life, and yeah, so that's what we're dealing with right now.
Well, I guess especially with what you're doing, but sellers are starting to implement AI all over the place. And what are you seeing that? Well, first of all, what do you see that sellers have to implement, and what are they implementing?
So I think, yeah, I've been really surprised at the scale of which this has kind of caught the imagination of the community. So I remember when as I was saying, when I saw this in September 2022, and we just had the first kind of public AI model launched, I thought, wow, all the content on Amazon, Walmart, eBay is going to be, 60-70% of this is going to be AI generated in 5 years. But I actually think the speed of adoption has just been much faster than that, thanks to ChatGPT. And I love sellers. I've been working with them my entire career, and some of the genius ways that I've, some of my favorite ways I think you've discussed on previous podcasts, Norm, is kind of even in the product development phase. I've seen people kind of, use AI to brainstorm lots of ideas, then use, a combination of different tools such as, ChatGPT for ideas, and then Midjourney to like scope up some products, and then can actually produce this. I've seen people use it in their SEO. And of course, like at Ecomtent, we've been focusing on building this for the product listing. So the text, the images, the infographics. So those are kind of the key three. But I'm sure you guys have also seen a lot of different ways.
I had Andrew Erickson on the podcast yesterday, and
great guy.
Holy crap, he showed us. Well, first we started talking about product research, going into product launch, going into influencer based in the full sequence, and then just developing a custom GPT. But just the prompts that he had, it was incredible, for the information that you can get and gather and tested to be very accurate. So, as long as you do it properly. And then of course, if you want to take a look at what you've been working on, which is incredible, is the Ecomtent, is with the help with the images, and now with the infographics. I mean, it's all there.
Yeah. I think I think sellers really risk, I'm still surprised when I talk to people who haven't started exploring, just because I think the efficiency gains that people are going to have are just going to be incredible. And we're small business ourselves, right? We've got about 15 employees, but we can scale ourselves because we're using AI to kind of do the base template of the code, and like about 40% of code now on GitHub is written by AI. And actually, this is all the boring stuff, and kind of the interesting stuff, and the intelligence and the the fine tuning and that kind of stuff still needs to be done by humans. But you can get a lot of boring things out the way. I've heard sellers, use it to maybe, I think it's Andrew Erickson, drafting the POAs at Amazon, something that I used to write back in the day, and I know how painful it needs to be, and you need to kind of have that balance of like a stern tone, but also like hit the framework that Amazon likes to do, and like AI is great for that. Been using it for blogs and SEO on Google itself, and that that's really helped us in our business. Like we've really been able to do well on SEO. Like again, it requires a human, I think, to think of an intelligent topic or something interesting. But once you've got that, like it takes you 5 minutes to build something, which is actually interesting and readable and not too long with something like Claude.
I got a question. So, what are the limitations of the current open source models?
Yeah, I think this is a very fair question. And I think that although it's really important to understand get excited about AI, it's also important to realize that, as I was saying, these aren't kind of magical intelligent beings. These are large prediction models, and therefore there are limitations. And the first limitation and the most significant limitation is hallucinations. And these aren't these aren't a bug that the AI makes stuff up. This is literally the feature of what this technology does. It kind of it compresses all of the data on the internet, as I said, and it kind of just creates new content based on your prompt. But this content could be wildly inaccurate, and it could be and without fine tuning or kind of retrieving accurate information using RAG. And you're just doing this using ChatGPT on like an untrained, open source model, you're going to find you're going to find kind of these hallucinations which can be bad. And I guess in the case of if you're doing this to write a blog, it's not a life-threatening situation. Like if the AI dreams up a statistic or a fact or whatever, it's not going to be the end of the world. If that's on your product listing, obviously you could get blocked. And if you're doing it to talk to a lawyer and draft legal contracts, you could have some even more serious implications. So I think it's important to understand, number one, that the hallucinations is a feature of this technology in its current format. I think number two is the lack of what I think is going to happen in the next in the next few months and this year is this focus on specific models for specific use cases. So we mentioned law just now, having a model trained on the US law, copyright law, brand law, whatever it is, that then can give you very accurate responses for that topic. Obviously, we've been doing this for e-commerce conversion and improving, as Norm mentioned, like images and getting stuff which is super engaging. And then the last thing I think is, whilst people are excited about AI, and I take this, we're guilty of this, and it's something we're fixing in the next week or two, is that you build these incredible models, but you haven't actually, you haven't built the infrastructure around it. So in our case, like, we're launching the APIs to connect with Amazon and Walmart and eBay, and like and kind of having the boring like software development stuff that you would that actually makes this more usable and scalable. So I think those are the three limitations that come to my mind.
One of the things that we've been doing is loading the terms of service, restricted words, items like that into ChatGPT, so it has a reference point. And also, so when you're building out your listings, it could refer back to restricted words. So especially if you're in one of those categories. But the other thing you were talking about is POAs, so plan of action, which a lot of the times when you get that nasty email, Amazon is asking you to submit a plan of action, and people don't know how to do it, or they do it wrong, or they scream at the customer service person, in an email, all upper caps, whatever, but they're not doing it right. And there is a very good app out there. I don't know if you've ever heard of this, Andrew, the other guy, Max. So I don't know if you've ever heard of this, but it's called frequency.ai.
Yes. Love them.
It's incredible. So it's not only for Amazon, but it's for all the different platforms. But for Amazon, it definitely has all the information in it to write a fairly accurate POA. Yeah.
Frequent AI are amazing, and I don't want to, say too much, but we're about to launch our first ever sponsorship, which is going to be of them, because I know the founder well, a British guy, and they're fantastic. It's an absolutely fantastic tool. And what I love about Frequently is that it's done that third point, which is the infrastructure. So he has painstakingly pulled together all of the Amazon, as you say, terms of service, and eBay and Walmart, and everything from his agency that he's run for the last 2 years to mean that you have all that boring stuff around, and you have the AI as kind of, it's a feature of the product, but it's not the product. So yeah, I agree. It's totally brilliant what Chris has built.
Yeah, and I love that it goes across all platforms. So not only the other platform, but also Walmart, also Etsy, also it just goes on and on and on.
Yeah.
But based on this, we've been talking a little bit about the different how it affects Amazon sellers and frequency, and putting together that plan of action. But where do you see that this is going to go this year, 2024?
Well, I'll make 4 predictions.
All right.
Because it's 2024. So my first one, Norm, you touched on it, and I think this next week we're going to see the launch of the custom GPT store, and this, in my mind, is going to be like the App Store on steroids when like the App Store launched. And I don't know if you remember one of the first apps, at least in the UK, was like a beer thing on your iPhone, and you drink it and the beer would go down. Don't know if you guys had that.
You Brits.
Maybe it's just me, but I remember. But my point is, like, when the App Store first launched, it wasn't it wasn't even super clear like what apps would be built. But like with the custom GPT, like Andrew's built an amazing one. I know that your friend, I forget his name, but I saw it in your newsletter, has built like a mentorship one, Norm, on e-commerce mentorship. We've built one on like prompting, like getting the best prompts for images, for product images. Like we trained it on, it's super easy, right? You upload your Excel. We have like, hundreds of thousands of tagged images of prompts and like their corresponding image score. And like we just literally upload it. You spend about, I don't know, half an hour playing around to create it, and then you've got this app. So this is just going to be insanely useful. And I think
anybody can do it too. I mean, it takes the
can.
instructions in English. So
yeah, it's totally amazing. And I've built 3 now. I absolutely love it. It's kind of, it's one of those like addictive and like fun tasks, I guess, when you have like all these tough and like mind-numbing tasks that you have to do when you're running a business. Like doing something like building the custom GPT is great fun, and they're super useful. So I think that's going to really change. And it's a bit, it's addressing the kind of point of like, yeah, ChatGPT is great, but like it hallucinates and it doesn't understand Amazon, blah blah blah. Like suddenly you're going to have ones which are built by the experts that do understand.
Yeah, I can't wait for this to. Well, it's coming out fairly soon, but yeah, that's a whole new ball game.
Yeah. Max, let's talk a little bit about Ecomtent. I know your software. I played with it. We actually worked with it for a few customers. We did this. You remember in the summit we talked about creating the images with the Christmas background. So we actually played with that. It was very exciting. Just the fact that you can, change your images quickly and easy. So I really love the software. Can you tell me a little bit the story behind Ecomtent?
Sure. So I mean, touched on a little bit already, but I was working in Amazon, and my co-founder basically showed me this. Showed me Stable Diffusion, and I don't know if you're into your cold water swimming, but I was really like, fuck, do I just quit my job and like do this? And at that time we had like no investors, nothing, just like an idea of like this technology is going to absolutely change everything, and like the opportunity is now. And like I was doing one of my like cold lake swimmings, and I was like, I've got to do it. Like I'm going to regret it forever if I didn't. And that's how it started. But I guess like just tying back to the previous question on where this is going, like I'm now just really enjoying like reading and thinking about what's happening next, because I think another big thing that we will see happening, I don't think it will be this year, but I think it might be in the next year, is this AGI, which is just right around the corner, which is and everyone's probably aware of the Sam Altman firing that happened a few months back, and like the kind of the communication, at least that I've heard, what do I know, but what I've read is that he wasn't totally honest with the board about like the progress of this AGI, and it's moving a lot faster than he had kind of let on. And obviously this has all sorts of implications, because if you have an AI which is intelligent on a human level, like that brings up a lot of moral and ethical questions. But specifically in e-commerce, I think we're going to start to see these personal shopping assistants. So I expect in the next 6 months us to have like ChatGPT style search on Amazon, and I don't know about Walmart, but certainly Amazon. I know that they're I know they're working on that. One of our investors is eBay, and I know that they are like very focused on kind of addressing search as well. But I think like from a customer, like from ourselves as consumers, like we're going to start to see, we're going to just start to use an AGI to shop for us, because it's going to know us, it's going to know our personal taste, it's going to understand, where we traveled, how much money we like to spend, and we're going to, and I think helping sellers to adjust for that shift. Like, I don't think we've really even seen the shift yet. It is kind of my view. Like we've seen like the infancy of these new tools have launched, and like it's pretty cool, and you put an image and get a product. But then like what happens when the entire shopping experience changes? Like how do e-commerce sellers manage that? And I think what you guys are doing here in terms of omnichannel and diversification is going to be like extremely important. But there's a lot of questions there which are super interesting.
Yeah, the way that I'm looking at it, and Andrew touched on this yesterday as well, is that he was talking about building his custom GPTs and how he's doing multiple layers. And I'm looking at it as we're going to be having a GPT for our graphic arts, somebody who understands PPC, or something that understands that, something that understands listings, and just going down every department that you need, where a lot of experts are like, it's singular, where you can be vertically integrated with multiple experts now. And an agency is going to look a lot different. And I'm not talking about 3 years out, or 10 years out. I'm talking about very soon. We're seeing it start right now, but in the next year and a half, it's going to be a whole different look out there.
Yeah, I definitely think the agency game is going to be disrupted, and that's something that we're working on in Ecomtent. I think another really interesting aspect, which I think is going to come, is and this is to do with the marketing, is like the intimacy between like humans and AI. And I don't know if you remember Blake Lemon, who's a Google engineer, and he was a guy who about maybe a year and a half ago, like claimed that AI was conscious. It was like, now we know it was Lambda, like it's now public, Bard, Lambda. But like he I don't know if you remember this, but he came out and he said like, we've built a conscious AI, and he got fired,
right,
for it, basically.
Yeah.
Do you
I remember that. Yeah.
You remember this. And I think, what's super interesting about this is not that the AI is conscious, right? Because now we all of us have played with this stuff. We know it's not conscious, it's just a prediction model. But really, like, that someone who is obviously a lot more intelligent than all of us, I don't want to put you in my category, but I'm assuming this like Google engineer working on Lambda, super intelligent guy, is willing to risk his like job and his career and his, you know, status with his friends, you know, for these models. So I think how this this changes marketing. You know, like when, you know, when as you say, like everyone is going to have access to like these custom GPTs, which are going to be super, you know, and I'm not just talking about like an OnlyFans with that kind of like, you know, talks to you know, like, you know, teenagers and like that, you know, I'm talking about how, you know, everyday people are kind of, you know, even if they know it's an AI, right? Like, like people are going to know it's an AI, that's fine. But like, at what point do we change like how we actually interact with this stuff? And I think that that's probably coming in this year. And like, there's that meme going around Twitter. I don't know how much you follow Twitter, of like 9 years ago, there was an article in like the Times or something, which is like first like AI and human like you know, sexual relationship. And like, yeah, I think we've reached this point now where the intimacy between us and like, you know, these models is definitely like, maybe not for all of us, but like certainly for a lot of us is going to fundamentally change.
You know, this is crazy. And Michal, I don't know if you listened to it or not, but I had ChatGPT interview me, and it was an hour-long podcast. And I kind of felt, you know, I was, oh yeah, like I would be saying thank you and please, and it got me. And this is now. Can you imagine later on? And this was perfect. Like there was a little bit of a gap, you know, while it was thinking sometimes, but sometimes it was just right off, and it would just take it and then take it to another level and then bring it back, ask me, you know, going down a different rabbit hole. And it did it all by itself for 1 full hour.
Wow.
It was crazy.
I never heard about that. No.
Yeah, it's I mean, I think as like e-commerce and marketers and sellers, like it's something to pay attention to, because I think this relationship that we have with brands is just going to completely change. And I don't, you know, I think different cultures are susceptible in different ways. Like I know in like, you know, Korea and Japan and these kind of places, like it's almost, you know, it's not as unthinkable maybe in at least in the UK. I don't know about you guys in Canada and America, but like, you know, I remember when we talked about COVID, like when you know, when I was doing COVID lockdown, like I was living with my best friend, and then he went up to the north of England, and at the time I wasn't with my girlfriend. So like, you know, like people get in these situations, and like maybe, you know, this like talking to, I don't know, my favorite sports brand or whatever, like who knows, like, you know, that I can see this coming, and like how, you know, how sellers integrate this as like, you know, building communities and this kind of stuff. I think it's fascinating. I think that's going to be a big trend that's coming up.
Yeah. It's incredible. All right, Michal, I've been doing most of the talking. Sorry.
Let's take a quick note from our sponsor and we'll be right back.
Wallysmarter.com is a cutting-edge software tool designed to help online sellers make more money on Walmart.com. Featuring advanced keyword and product research tools, Wallysmarter identifies high-demand, low-competition niches for you to capitalize on. With more accurate Walmart sales estimates provided by its easy-to-use Chrome extension, Wallysmarter takes all the guesswork out of selling on Walmart. Be empowered to make more informed decisions and grow your business like never before. Try Wallysmarter today with no credit card required. Did I say no credit card required? Anyways, use your coupon code POWER30 and get 30% off Wallysmarter today for life. Okay, we're back. Oh, you're on mute, Michal.
Oh, I'm on mute. Sorry. I just want to make sure everybody that is listening, tell us a little bit more how Ecomtent help e-commerce sellers and how they can use the tool.
Sure. So, I mean, right now, what we do is we help sellers with creating product listings. So we help them to generate lifestyle images imagine a mid-journey, but you can put your specific product in the image and generate around it. We do infographics. So, you know, imagine a Canva, but you can do this at scale. And you know, you can automatically pull in the optimized text for your listing, and you know, upload it to Amazon or Walmart or eBay, and also the optimized copy. I think also, like, we're like, I spend a lot of time with the A9 team, so I'm very conscious in how we're building this. We're not looking to kind of, my other prediction, and again, I'm sorry, this is Amazon focused, but I imagine it might be applicable to Walmart, is that these guys who build these algorithms know that this stuff is happening, and people are like taking lots of keywords and like, here's my keywords, here's ChatGPT, here's my new listing. Now it's a bit irrelevant. And I know for a fact that there's, like, it's not one algorithm, there's multiple algorithms, and they're looking at stuff at like conversion and, like, you know, how you know, how long a customer stays on. Basically, they're trying to optimize for, is this listing, you know, useful and helpful for a customer, and does it help them to make a purchase decision? And that's kind of the gold standard. And then, like, you know, a layer under that, they're looking at conversion metrics, they're looking at keywords, they're looking at sessions, you know, looking at a whole draft of stuff. So we're very thoughtful in how we build these tools as well. As much as possible, you know, we leverage the Amazon API, like we leverage eBay, like we try and leverage what we can, but we try and do this in a thoughtful way, to enable people to kind of list across marketplaces in you know, effectively. And we also you know, are very conscious of the stuff we talked about hallucinations and the rest of it. And we're like, a source of, I think, our long-term defensibility is like, this stuff is hard and we're doing it, and, you know, working people like frequently, and as we said, to do it properly. So that's what we do. I mean, you know, on a side note, like, all the other stuff we talked about, AGI and the rest of it, like, it's something I'm super interested in and passionate about, and, like, if we can bring it to sellers, we will. So you know, let's see how it goes.
I think what you do, it's so important, because if we look in from the customer's point, you know, customer today, every time they go to shop on Amazon or Walmart, or, you know, the quality of the images they see, it's different than what was even 2 years ago, 5 years ago. And so I think from the customer point of view, a customer is expecting already to see really high quality images with infographic. Yeah. Most people are shopping on mobile. They don't even read your description. It's good, you know, we need our description, we need our, you know, bullet points and all the stuff to help, you know, optimize our listings and make sure customer will find it. But usually when customer find it, they just focus on the images. Like, I know that recently I find myself just really buying from the image or the video, and that's it. If I like it, I just, you know, add to cart. So I think that part in, you know, so a lot of people, a lot of clients have this problem that they think that for them to create this kind of images is going to cost them thousands of dollars. And actually, you know, there's a software like Ecomtent that can do it in extremely affordable price. So I think that, like, I really love that. Like, the first time when I met you and you showed me that, I was like, I cannot believe there's actually a software that can do that.
Thank you. Yeah, I think you're right. And I think also, like, our focus in the longer term is about, like, you know, continuous optimization for the different holidays. And I literally just got off the the call I had before this with a customer who sells, you know, big teddy bears, and, you know, they said to me, like, 70% of their sales comes in Valentine's Day and Christmas. So, like, they suddenly need, and they got thousands of SKUs, so they suddenly need to, like, create this, you know, update everything with Valentine's Day, and, like, they want different stuff for, you know, slightly different areas. Like, you know, it sounds weird to me, but some with, like, lingerie, some with, like, hearts, like, all sorts of different stuff for different folks. And, like, we, you know, we can help them to we can help them to do that. So I think that's like, I still really believe good photography and the rest of it is going to be important if you have like 5-10 products, but like when it comes to like continuous optimization or like big catalogs, like I think it's a no-brainer.
Another thing that I believe will be important is the way that the algorithm sees your photo. And one of the things that we're trying to do is we'll go back and we'll ask AI, what do you see in the photo? And to get you the information. And you might pick up some extra keywords as well. But and I haven't done it directly in ChatGPT, but that shouldn't be a problem. But there are definitely apps out there that read what you can see in the image, and then you could pick up further information to put into your listing. But it's so important that you nailed it. It's relevant information now that the algorithm, at least that what I believe is, that's what they're playing on. And if it's not in the image, and it's getting away from keyword based, I believe, into relevancy, and these images, I think, are going to play a much more a bigger role outside of your primary image.
Definitely. I mean, I've heard that directly from like members of the A9 team, mentors of mine. Like they I think these the marketplaces know what is happening, and I think they also know about overseas actors who like maybe like it's easy for a domestic seller to kind of do it properly, but like the for overseas ones who maybe English isn't so great, like the temptation is so big, right? Just to like stick it in there, here's a keyword, here's your thing, you might not even understand what's coming out, and just putting that online. So I think they're very conscious to defend the customer experience, like number one, like as sellers know too well, like they're very, very conscious to defend the customer. And they're definitely moving that direction.
Okay, I did notice that Max, you are offering a 10% 10% off your Ecomtent.ai.
Yes.
And it's just Power 10.
Power 10.
Easy. Power 10. Yes, guys, go check it out if you need new images. And like with, what I'm surprised is sometimes I will talk to sellers and I ask them, when the last time you optimized your listing or replaced your images? And sometimes I hear like a year, 2 years. It's so important to refresh your content and your images. I would say probably at least twice a year. What do you think, Noor?
Yeah, but one big note is that if you are replacing your images, make sure that you make a note either in Helium 10 on a spreadsheet, because you don't want to make a lot of changes all at once. But let's say you just change your image and then monitor what's happening. Are your rankings going up? Are they, diving? And then you'll have a record of what you did, and then you can just replace it again.
Yeah, that's a good tip. That's usually, we do it constantly. We are monitoring the ranking at least once a month just to see what's going on. Is it getting better or not? Because if it's not, it means we're doing something wrong. So we have to fix it. So yeah, definitely. But how much is replacing your images? I'm not sure about the other platform, but how much is it? Can hurt your listing if you replace your images, or
no? A matter of fact, you can see what some of the keywords are, keyword phrases. Just take those images that you have, see what Amazon is looking at, and then you can build out an image based on that keyword. And then you can upload it, and it might give you better results.
That's interesting. All right. So I think our last question. So, from working for so many years with Amazon, building Ecomtent, what is your best advice that you have for someone that is just starting in the e-commerce?
So my best advice And I think the only key advantage that domestic sellers will have now is understanding their customer and being really close to their customer and building something that customers actually want. And becoming an entrepreneur, you kind of learn this lesson very, very quickly, that it's super important, when you're a product or service or whatever you're doing, to understand how the customer is using you, like observe them if you can. Like, I don't know, if you're selling cycling helmets, go to a cycling convention and see how people, like, when do they take their helmets on, when do they take it off, where do they store it when they're having a beer, like, just understanding all of that and then putting that into your product is crucial. And that is the moat that that you have if you're close to your customers, and you can see them in action, you can talk to them. Like I try and talk to like a customer every day, just to understand how they're using us, and like I get tons of surprises always, and I'm like, okay, that's a really cool idea, why don't we just go and go and make that easier for everyone. So that's that would be my number one advice.
Yeah, I agree. Know your customer, know what they think about your product, and make changes. And that's something that a lot of sellers don't do. They don't pay attention to how they can improve their product, and then so other seller will come and pay attention and make it better. So you always have to be on top of what are you selling.
And I see a lot of stuff with reviews and AI, and like obviously I'm big pro AI, as you probably tell by now. Like, but I think there is no substitute for just having a conversation with a customer, and seeing how, and obviously it's hard. They make it hard on Amazon because but having a conversation with someone using the product and understanding how they're using it and what they love and what they hate, and that is 10 times better than like taking all your reviews and putting it into ChatGPT and like, oh, maybe I should make it thicker. Like, obviously that's important, right? But like the validation on a human level, like you're selling to a human at the end of the day, not an AI model, like for now at least. So that's what you need to would be my advice and what we try and do.
I remember I was at a conference and I was listening to Sean Hart. He was talking up on stage, and he was talking and doing his thing. And then he was talking about one technique he uses for repeat customers. And I'm an old school marketing guy. And it was reach out to them and have a certain, like, talk to them. And it was like, what a concept. Yeah, reach out and talk to them.
Yeah.
So I think that's probably it, Max. You killed it. We did 45 minutes, so that's awesome. I love the topic, and it would be great to have you back on.
Always, like, it's a fast-moving space, so always happy to come back and talk to you guys. It's great to see you again.
All right.
Thank you. And if we don't, do we have any questions?
There's no questions in right now. It doesn't look like it.
No questions.
All right, beautiful. So we will see you next Thursday. Q&A, guys, don't miss it out because there's so many updates from Walmart. And if you missed all the updates of maybe the last month, we can go over. There's a lot of new things happening with Walmart right now, a lot of exciting things. So come and join us next Thursday, live Q&A at 3 p.m. Eastern, and see you then.
All right. See you later.